Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is New Michael, Kevin, and Jank.
I'm here, Mike Dell, and tonight we're going to find out whether podcasters are vulnerable to a thing called love.
Nope, I'm not. I can tell you that much. Died many years ago. But, I was going to tell you to tell the kids what we're reading, but no, it was my choice. So today we're reading Justice League of America, issue 106 from 1973, and this features the Red Tornado.
Yeah, he's extra red here.
Yes, he's very red. And we'll talk about the Red Tornado, because I didn't know anything about the Red Tornado, really. And it's pretty crazy how his story and the story of the Vision are like the same thing. So
yeah, there's certain differences, I guess, but yeah, they're very similar in a lot of ways.
Very minor differences. We'll get into all that.
Backstory that they briefly touch on here, I didn't understand at all. Like, is he from another world? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try and explain his backstory here in a minute, but it's DC, so
yeah.
What can you do? All right, so before we get into all that, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I think we're up to 347 subscribers.
Ooh.
So we picked up one.
And in on 350.
Yeah.
Quickly.
And Ragman's actually doing okay. He's doing way better than Daredevil.
There's other people out there like Gary Coleman foot chases. Who knew?
I guess so. But again, if we get to 500 subscribers, Jank's going to make me read the Dark Knight Returns every week for a month. So that's the goal here. And I also have a book out there called Monkey Flip about a chimp detective. There is a foot chase. I for a second there, I was thinking there's not a single. No, there is a foot chase in the book.
Yeah, we wouldn't let that slide. Your editor would make you put that in.
That's right. So anyway, the Red Tornado. Let's talk about this fella here. He goes by the name of John Smith, but he's a robot. So
that's more than Vision. Just Vision. I don't even think he has a person.
And I'll be honest, if I'm a robot pretending to be human, I think, like, if I ever meet a John Smith, I'm assuming he's a robot. Because that just seems like the biggest name ever,
Yeah, you're immediately grabbing his face, trying to peel stuff off, like, show me your robot face.
Like, what are we doing? His first appearance was Justice League of America, issue 64, 1968, created by Gardner Fox and Dick Dillin. And Dick Dillin is the artist here on this issue we're doing today. And we'll get into it. Well, you said you've never heard of Dick Dillin?
Yeah. That was my claim. I think I'm still sticking by it, but I'm sure there's tons of proof that we've done books.
We've definitely done Dick Dillin. I don't know if you were here, though, or if it was Mike L. or... but yeah, Dick Dillin, real quick, since we've already talked, he had 497 credits at DC. But most notable, he had a 12-year run on Justice League. So, 115 issues. So he's like the most famous Justice League artist. And he started with issue 68. He died while working on issue 184.
Oof.
He was 50 years old. Can you imagine being so old? Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm 50. Yeah, 50 years old.
He was trying to get up off the floor.
Yeah.
Isn't that
terrible? So, but when Dick Dillin died, then George Perez took over. So
that's a good replacement.
Yeah, so they're like the two big artists for Justice League. Dick Dillin, George Perez. All right, and the writer here is Len Wein, as we like to say. Wein.
Definitely talked about it a time.
Yeah, he of course created Wolverine. 602 credits at DC, and he wrote Justice League issues 100 to 114. So, okay, anyway, getting back to the Red Tornado.
Dick Dillin, apparently.
Yeah. This Red Tornado fella, he's an android created by Professor T.O. Morrow.
Oh, I see what they're doing there.
DC is so
he
clever.
had friends. His friends would call him Tomorrow.
That's right.
Look there.
So, but here's the thing. His origin, okay, it doesn't make any sense. But first of all, the initial Red Tornado was a character, I believe, in 1940 called Ma Hunkel. And this was a lady who had a bunch of rowdy kids or something, and she was just Ma Hunkel, and she dressed up as the Red Tornado to protect her neighborhood from criminals. And her costume was very much like Irving Forbush, like she had a pan on her head, and,
Okay.
and she's dressed up in like long underwear and stuff. And
she had no powers. She was just a lady.
Yeah, just this big lady who protected her neighborhood.
Probably was not very fast or tornado-like.
No, but there was a time where she tried to join the Justice Society of America. Okay, and that's of course the Earth 2 version of what would eventually be the Justice League. Anyway, so so the Justice Society was kind of aware of a character called Red Tornado. It was a lady. So now we jump forward into the 60s, and there is a planet called Rann, Rann.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're aware of this?
That's Strange, right? That's where he went to.
Adam Strange. That is, wow, I didn't even know you knew who Adam Strange was.
Sure. I've heard Kevin Smith talk about him.
Oh, good Lord. Here we go. Kevin Smith.
He's a big fan.
Everything with Jank has a Kevin Smith tie-in. This is the worst. But anyway, yes, Adam Strange and the Justice League combined to defeat. All right, so there's an air elemental on this planet called Alfoon.
Okay.
Not Ultron, Alfoon, and it
Typhoon from our Blood Shockma movie.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, Typhoon.
Yeah.
But this Alfoon fella, he was an air elemental, so he's basically just a spinning tornado. That's all he was. But he had a good personality and a bad personality. So when they beat him, his personality split into two separate beings. And one was called Tornado Champion. And the other was called
Tornado Loser.
No, just Gary. No, Tornado Champion and Tornado Tyrant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then, yeah, this makes any sense.
So then, so far.
So then, after that, then the champion tried to fight the tyrant, and he tried to take on all the abilities of the Justice League. Yeah, we're talking about the League still, and but the tyrant defeated him. So he went to Earth 1 in shame and got the help of the Justice League, and they combined and they beat their Tornado Tyrant. But because the Tornado Champion now, he wanted to go forge his own identity, none of this tornado stuff. So he goes, you know what, I'm going to go to Earth 2 and see if I can make my way over there. And I think at this point, there's still just a spinning tornado. I don't know. I don't think he had a body or anything.
Yeah, okay. It's just a gust of wind.
I think. I don't know. So then over on Earth 2, the Tornado Champion encountered a fella called Professor T.O. Morrow. Yeah. Mm. And he was building an android called the Red Tornado.
Oh.
So this champion, but he was an evil fella. So his idea was he wanted this android to infiltrate the Justice Society, because we're on Earth 2 now, and destroy the Justice Society.
Oh, so this guy only has one idea, and he's just going to keep trying it in different worlds until he succeeds.
That's exactly what happens in this issue. So the Tornado Champion, he says, "Hey, there's a robot there called a Red Tornado. That's probably perfect for me." So he tries to possess the body of the Red Tornado for his own, but there's some sort of a short circuit or something. So then, the Tornado Champion loses his memory.
Oh,
I don't know.
He loses all those great memories of being a gust of wind?
I think. Damn. I don't know. Again, this could all just be nonsense. Who knows if I'm reading this properly.
Yeah.
But this T.O. Morrow, now he's got this robot, and he sends it over to the Justice Society, and he shows up at the Justice Society and goes, hey, Justice Society, I'm Red Tornado. And Justice Society's like, no, you're not. We remember Red Tornado. She was a lady called Ma Hunkel who just protected her neighborhood with a pot on her head. And he's like, no, I'm Red Tornado. I know all you fellas. And he starts...
Tornado too.
Yeah. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and then there's like some emergency call or something. So they all go and they bring the Red Tornado along with them, and they fight, do something. I don't know. And I guess Tio Morrow kind of looks like he's outsmarted him, and he's going to beat the Justice Society. But then Red Tornado fights back, and it's the same Vision story. As for those not aware, Vision was created by Ultron to infiltrate the the Avengers and bring them down from the inside, but he rebels against Ultron. So it's the same thing, damn thing. And so they defeat Tio Morrow, but now the Justice, I don't know. I think the Justice League is also. I'm
sure they always crossed over into that Earth 1 a bunch.
So they're trying to figure a way to get the Justice League back to Earth 1, and I think this gets described a little bit in this issue. But Red Tornado, it looks like he kind of sacrifices himself to make the jump back. I don't know. So they think Red Tornado died. The Justice League does. And then that's kind of where this issue will pick up then.
The re-entrance of Red Tornado here.
Yeah. So this whole backstory is a train wreck, but
it really is. That was worse than I expected. Yep, you got me.
Yeah, air elementals and Ma Hunkel. The hell?
That's the worst name I've ever heard. Like, why would you name a character that?
It's 1940. What are they doing? All right. So anyway, Red Tornado, he made his first appearance in August of 1968. The Vision made his first appearance in Avengers issue 57 in October 1968. Oh. So 2 months later, the Vision came into play. Oh. Now, you would think, obviously they stole them off of, but back in the day, issues were made 3-4 months in advance before they ever. So this seems like another X-Men Doom Patrol situation where.
Yeah. Although I guess, weren't these companies like right across the street from each other and like always having lunch together and stuff? So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't know, because like Man Thing, Swamp Thing, like the creators were kind of roommates at one point, right? So they kind of.
Yeah. So, you don't know who was talking to who, and
so you don't know if it's a deliberate thing that Marvel copied off of them, or maybe DC even copied the idea of Marvel, but just did it faster. You don't know,
Or it could have just been like there was some movie that was real popular that had a robot. No, they're both ripping that off.
Interesting you bring that up, because there's a little fella named Philip K. Dick who wrote a story called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which of course became Blade Runner later on. But that came out in March of 1968. So
okay.
That would
Robots
seem
were
to
top of mind.
Yes, that would seem to be like the spark here, because all these comic guys are reading sci-fi and everything. So like, let's do this. So
and that was a different take on robots, not like the Lost in Space robot, where it's just this big lanky thing. It was more humanoid robots. So that makes sense.
So if I had to guess, I would say Philip K. Dick inspired both Red Tornado and Vision. But even the Vision, like, it's because just as Ma Hunkel was a Golden Age character, I think Gardner Fox, one of the gimmicks he was doing at the time was he wanted to bring Golden Age heroes into the Justice League like one a month or something, like trying to rework them. So that's why he went back and got Ma Hunkel, Red Tornado, and like reworked Red Tornado. And Roy Thomas at Marvel, that's what he did with Vision, because there was a Vision at Timely Comics in the Golden Age, and he was an alien. Sounds very much like the Martian Manhunter, kind of his backstory. So he took the name Vision and updated it for the Avengers, and So, but the two similarities are between the characters are crazy.
To be like the body of the original Human Torch, right? At least at one point.
Yep.
They're bringing that guy back too, kind of.
And also, like, these two characters, Red Tornado kind of has someone else's consciousness in him because eventually the Tornado champion regains his consciousness and everything. So,
and he can remember all those blew up with his wind.
And do you remember who the Vision's brain patterns are based on?
Wonder Man, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's not him for your brain patterns. Gotta say, you can do better.
And not only that, but both of these robots start making sweet, sweet love with human women. You know,
That's right.
Vision was
I mean,
Scarlet
who else
Witch.
to make out with? I guess Vision has Jocasta potentially, but you know, Red Tornado, what's he got?
Well, yeah, I can understand why the robots would want to do it, but what about the ladies? You know, they don't mind being with robots.
I mean, it's probably always hard.
Difficult in quotes, or maybe not. So, but yeah, Red Tornado. In this issue, he meets a lady, and they become a couple. How can you start dating a fella and not realize he's a robot? Like,
You can't realize that he always wears like a turtleneck and a trench coat and gloves and is literally covered from head to toe. The only skin you see is this weird, skin-like fleshy substance they put over his face.
And at some point, even if you're just holding hands or hooking arms or something, you think, oh, wow, this guy's really strong. He feels like steel. This guy,
he's awfully icy cold, too.
I think you'd pick up on that at some point, but apparently not. So
yeah, we got a lot to talk about there because, boy, they make relationships look easy.
Yes. So there you go. That's the backstory of the Red Tornado. And of course, once the Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, they changed his backstory. And I think they just kind of streamlined things with the elementals, or it's a similar backstory, but not quite the same. And then they did it again years later, I think, in the whole New 52 or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
So in that era, apparently Lois Lane was dead. Are you aware of this?
Huh. No.
Yeah.
It was not.
I didn't know either. And I remember when she was black. We remember that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
Read that issue.
But so Lois Lane died, and apparently they put her consciousness in a red tornado, a female red tornado body.
Oh my God, this sounds terrible.
Yes.
I think she also became Superwoman at some point in the New 52. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know. DC is the worst. It's the absolute worst. So, anyway, and also, but Red Tornado, we're almost going to do his miniseries from 1985. Carmine Infantino was the artist. And at that era, Red Tornado, he had a way cooler look.
Yeah, he sure did. The post-crisis got a lot better.
Because this version of Red Tornado is just like a red robot with a purple cape and like a silver belt and like purple things on his shoulders. But that's about it. And in the future there, he would become red with a blue cape trimmed in yellow, I think. Or is it red? I don't know. But he's got like a big yellow arrow on his forehead pointing down. And he's got like a yellow symbol on his chest.
It is wiener, that's why.
Yeah. But he's like red, yellow, and blue, and he's pretty awesome looking. That Red Tornado.
Good luck. Very good luck.
In the Red Tornado, he's a robot, and one of the things he can do is you can just spin like a tornado, But usually just from the waist down.
Or even just his hands, apparently.
Yeah, he can shoot little tornadoes out of his arms and stuff, and yeah. Something.
Yeah. I guess he could probably do it with his head. Why not? Just spin the head fast.
Probably other parts of his body as well. Maybe that's why that lady likes him.
He does the helicopter.
So, all right. There you go. Red Tornado. I think that's all we need here. Any questions about Red Tornado, Jack?
I think you've told me more than I ever wanted to know about Red Tornado.
Let's do 15 more minutes on Ma Hunkel.
What kind of pot did she have on her head?
So, all right. Why don't you describe the cover for us, Jack?
All right. So we got the little DC circle in the corner there, very plain. And in the opposite corner it says 20 cents. That's wow. What a price.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yes.
Then it says the world's greatest superheroes. Debatable.
Yeah.
And then Justice League of America logo. It's very, I don't know. It's like very official looking, but not in a fun way. Government bureaucracy way.
There's that red, white, and blue, and you got some stars there. It's I don't know. It's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Like war bonds, I guess. Maybe that's what it reminds me.
or war bonds. Right.
And it's a big black cover, and down the side, under the DC logo there, it says Justice League of America, and it's kind of showing some of the heroes that are going to be in here. We got Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Elongated Man, and Hawkman, although there's others that are also in the cover that they don't even mention here.
Yeah.
No one cares about Black Canary, apparently.
I care a lot about Black Canary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think. But then there's kind of a rectangle in a big portion of the cover here. And in the rectangle, you got Red Tornado standing right dead center. And there's like a spotlight on him, like a yellow spotlight. And he says, "The day I joined the JLA, I killed them all." And you see all the rest of the JLA members piled around him in a circle, laying there on the ground.
Yeah, we also have Black Canary and the Atom.
Circle.
Yep. And, but yeah, when you look at those headshots there on the left, okay, Superman, Batman, Flash, that's pretty good, you know, some heavy hitters. Green Lantern, oh, that's another good one. Elongated Man, canceled. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
It's like a dentist. What are we doing here?
He's like the Kmart version of Plastic Man.
So,
no one really likes Plastic Man that much.
No, apparently not. So, but yeah, how about the balls on this Len Wein fella? He says, you know, let's just redo that same story they did back in the day. Let's just
yeah, we'll just come to another Earth.
Let's just do the same thing.
Like, is Tomorrow, like, what is his grand plan? Like, is he even doing other schemes? Like, he needs the Justice League or the Justice Society out of the way? Or he just wants to murder them and then, I don't know, what's the end game here?
I don't know. Well, apparently in this issue, isn't there something like, it's never explained, but he has to, like, destroy the Justice League in 28 days or he gets zapped out of existence? I don't know.
Yeah. I thought that was going in a different direction, but no, it went in a very stupid direction. Till we get there.
All right, let's open it up now. It says the time today. Oh, well, thank you for that. They tell us what time it is. And the place, the gigantic satellite whirring in stationary orbit 22,300 miles above the surface of the Earth. The occasion, a hastily called emergency meeting of the Justice League of America. And then we get a big panel, a nice tilt on this from Dick Dillin, of Red Tornado standing with his arms folded, and all the heroes. Oh, look, there's Aquaman too in there, and Green Arrow, right. And they're all sitting at a table eyeing up Red Tornado, and he's like standing there defiantly, and they're trying to say Green Lantern is speaking for the group, which seems odd to me. And he says, "Hey, let's keep this briefing short and sweet. Red Tornado, considering the circumstances, what do you have to say for yourself?" Do you see the Atom, like what they did with the Atom there?
Oh yeah. He's got a little chair, like a doll chair on like a stool, like a giant wooden dowel or something.
Why is that needed? Yeah, there's this tall wooden stick sticking out of the table, and then on top of the stick there's a chair, and then the Atom is sitting on the chair. Why can't he just sit on the edge of the table?
Size, like. Why would you be small for a meeting like this?
Or just sit on the edge of the table. You know? Like, why do you need a pole with a chair on?
It's like being at Denny's.
It's a bizarre thing. And just go hang out with Black Canary. Who cares about the stick in a chair? What the hell? All right.
You can hang like Black Canary can keep you in your cleavage. Nice.
Yeah, perfect. So we cut to the next page, and we just see Red Tornado, and he's Green Arrow is giving him the old Inquisition there, and Green Lantern. And what's going on here?
Explain yourself, Red Tornado. Yeah. Like he's like, I saved your lives. Are you coming at me with the third degree?
Yeah, we should also mention Red Tornado. His face, it's it's a red ribbed face, but he's got these like circular things for his ears. And
yeah.
It makes him look really dumb.
Very square eyes and kind of a big brow.
Yeah.
Well, looks like Iron Man, a little bit with the way his mask looked back in the day.
So yeah, they're just saying, "Hey, we thought you were dead. What do you mean? How are you back?" And
yep.
Well, he says, "Here, let me enlighten you there, as best I can. So now we get a flashback to the Red Tornado telling us how he survived. And he's saying, as you remember, I stole the Nebula Rod when you and the Justice Society combined forces against the hand that held the Earth. The hell does that mean? The hand that held the Earth.
Looks like it's literally holding the Earth, so I guess that's exactly what
Oh, yeah, look, there is a giant hand holding the Earth.
Cousin It had a very large cousin and
crazy.
grabbed the Earth.
So he got the Nebula Rod. I think we all know how painful that can be. And the hope that my android body might survive the erupting interstellar energies where your human forms could not. The explosion occurred as expected, and you thought me destroyed. Obviously, I was not. And we see him falling out of the sky there. Instead, in a 1 in a billion chance, the eruption tore a hole in the dimensional fabric and hurled me from my Earth into yours.
Yeah. Apparently also, I don't know how Tomorrow got on this Earth in that same explosion, but okay.
And he says, how long I lay as one dead, I do not know, but eventually my damaged body was discovered by a blind sculptor living alone deep in your Rocky Mountains.
Now they're just ripping off Alicia Masters at that point, right? With the whole blind sculptor thing.
But how in the hell is a blind sculptor going to be wandering the Rocky Mountains? And he finds a robot
to live, yeah.
And he picks up the robot and carries him back to a cabin. Robots are heavy, you know?
Yeah.
So there's some flaws in this story. I think T.O. Morrow could have come up with a better story than this. The old blind sculptor gimmick. But,
yeah, I don't even know why he had to be blind. Like, he just changes his mind to think he was old. Like, you know, just pretend to be anybody but Tomorrow and you're good.
And are they going maybe for the old, wasn't the Frankenstein, wasn't there an old blind guy in all the Frankenstein movies that finds Frankenstein? Or is that kind of what they're going for? Oh, no, but anyway, the old man took me into his home, tended me, and what prompted him to sculpt features upon my empty android face, I will never know. And they show him like wearing a fleshy mask.
Yeah, this was confusing because it was like they never show him change from one form to the other. Is this literally just a mask that he pulls on and off, or how does this work?
I can't tell you.
Hey, like that doesn't seem like something you just whip off and whip back on. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, and he says, where am I? What has happened to me? And the blind sculptor's like, be calm, friend, relax. You are in safe hands. Yeah. So anyway, conversations with the old man during my recovery convinced me I was on the wrong Earth. I felt that way my whole life.
Yep, still do.
When I was well enough, I thanked, what do you mean well enough? You're a robot. I thanked my blind friend and set forth to correct the situation. But that was easier planned than accomplished. To my surprise, I found I could not pierce the dimensional barrier.
He's that Nebula Rod.
Yeah. So, he's like, I came searching for you then, but knowing your low opinion of me, I helped your cause in secret. Why do they have a low opinion of the Red Tornado?
Yeah, he sacrificed his life to save them. I don't know. Seems like he'd be pretty good in his book.
Apparently they were fighting the Putty Men in the last issue. That sounds like a vicious villains there. The Putty Men. And Flash says, Tornado, that's not fair. Just because we failed to listen to you once. Then we get a shot of Black Canary in the foreground looking really good. And then Red Tornado in the background there kind of pointing at her. And he says, yes, and that failure caused the death of Black Canary's husband. Such grim things.
Yeah, she's going to vote against Red Tornado being in this thing.
Yeah, like,
why didn't you bring up my dead husband?
I know. Come on, why is a robot? Yeah, he doesn't really know what he's doing, I guess. But I don't know. So they're all voting. They're all arguing whether he should join the, the team or not.
Yeah.
And Green Arrow's like, wait a minute, what's this group becoming? A refugee camp for Earth 2 outcasts? And Hawkman's like, I don't remember you complaining so loudly when Black Canary was proposed for membership. Well, of course not. Look at her. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a filthy robot. You know? But so,
we don't want that on this team.
so how does the vote go, Jank?
Yeah, they all vote him in. Red Tornado has earned his nomination. The question is, will he accept? Yes, Hawkman, I will accept. I have nowhere else to go.
Oh, wait a minute, Jank. Because look at his close up here on his face. And it almost looks like it is like an Iron Man mask, and the fleshy clay thing is beneath the mask.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
It really doesn't make any sense.
But if you look at the background there with the heroes, Adam is now standing on Batman's shoulder.
Who knew Batman was so friendly? Let the Atom ride around.
Again, Adam, you can just stand on the table. Just stand on the table.
Be a real man.
But anyway, when we see Red Tornado looking at the camera and they're all behind him, he thinks to himself, excellent. Now I can destroy them all.
Yeah, which is very confusing because he's not trying to destroy them all. Like, Tomorrow's whole plan involves him destroying them by not knowing it. Like, he would never think this because he is not in on this plan.
That is weird too, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a faulty mechanism that's going to go, if he tries to call them, it's going to go haywire and kill them all. But
and how would that happen exactly? Because it's not an explosive device because, yeah, it's triggered when he presses a button on his belt to call the Justice League. So how would pushing that, you know what I mean? How?
Yeah. How is that going to take out the entire team? What could this possibly be?
Yeah, because if it's an explosive, then it'll go off, I guess, right away, and then they're not there yet. And how would you know how long it would take them to get there? So.
And they basically say at one point, like, Superman saw that you had one extra wire. It's like, I don't think that's going to take out the whole team. Like,
that extra wire.
Other wire in there.
So, there's a lot of holes in this story. I don't know. Yeah. Now we come back to Tio Morrow, and he's got this plan, and he's like, my temporary control over the tornado is gone, but it no longer matters. Soon the Justice League will be finished, and I'll sleep peacefully at last. Not that I hold any grudges against them. They do their thing. I do mine. It's just a matter of self-preservation. If my computer hadn't made this prediction, I'd probably have left them alone. And what's the prediction, Jack?
Yeah, so the computer says, in precisely 28 days, the cosmic balance will shift, and either Tomorrow or the Justice League of America will cease to exist. And it says, for the Justice League to be destroyed, a new member must be added to its ranks. He's like, all right, if I get the Red Tornado in there, he'll kill them all somehow.
None of this makes any sense. Why?
No. There's no payoff. I figured for sure, it's going to end with okay, they beat him, and then he's like, oh, he's so freaked out about it, he has a heart attack and dies or something like that because he's scared of this prediction. But nope, he just, I don't know, disappears.
Yeah, it just disappears. Yeah. But why did the computer make this prediction? What would cause this prediction to come true? There's so many questions. I have no idea.
Yeah. Maybe they explain it in future Tomorrow stories, but
what was the guy we liked from Marvel? The old guy?
Henrik von Sticklesnap?
No, the other guy from Turner D Century.
Yeah.
He was
a young
Tio Morrow. Yeah. Tio Morrow and Turner D Century. All right, anyway. So this T.R. Morrow, he's got his own little army of soldiers,
Yeah.
The little snappy outfits.
The putty man. I guess he was also behind that.
And he's got some advanced weaponry. And he wants his guys to go. He says, splendid. Anything at all to make him use his newly gained JLA signal device. For I've planted a small mechanism inside the tornado's body that alters the device's frequency. The first time he presses that transmitter, the Justice League of America will die. How? I don't understand.
Some very simple doomsday device, apparently. I don't know.
So now we see Red Tornado going about as his human form, and he's trying to find a place to live and a job. You think the JLA could help him out with that, you know?
Yeah. They got a satellite. Just give him an apartment up there.
I'm sure Wein Industries could use an intern somewhere, right?
Yeah. Or Queen Industries.
Yes.
They're rich.
All these rich idiots on his team.
Adam's a rich scientist, I think.
Yeah. So, but he's not having any luck, and he's thinking, oh, how ironic. For all of my existence, I wanted to be human, and now that the opportunity presents itself, no one will give me the chance.
Yeah. No, you don't have a driver's license or ID of any kind, so yeah, get the fuck out.
And I'll be honest, Mr. John Smith, you seem like a robot.
That does not compute.
So as he's walking down the street there, a little toy tank goes zipping by his foot. And but the tank continues to grow larger and larger and larger until it's a full-size tank.
Yeah. Pretty big tank.
And it blasts a hole in the bank, and it's going to rob the bank. And I guess this is one of Tio Maro's little tricks. And then we see Red Tornado. He's like, to borrow a line from one of my newly gained partners, this is a job for Red Tornado. And he like spins around a tornado around himself. And then when he stops spinning, he's his robot form. The hat, the coat, the human flesh, the ascot, the gloves, that's all gone now.
Yep. And you know what's weird? Those red things on where his ears should be are so big that his ears would have to be ginormous to try to cover those things. But they're not. They look fairly normal, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. None of this makes any sense. So he's fighting these fellows with the tank. These are Tio Maro's guys. And they must be, they got exoskeletons on, because one guy's ripping a lamppost right out of the ground. Willful destruction of property, but all right, whatever, buddy. And a Red Tornado just hits him with a tornado blast out of his arm, and gets them all tangled up in their exoskeletons.
Yeah, seems like a design flaw.
But then another guy jumps out of the tank in a little blue truck with a funnel on the end of it. Well, why don't you take it from here, Jake? Because I'm already sick of this.
Yeah, so Red Tornado's shooting a tornado right at the funnel, but the funnel redirects it and shoots it right back at him. It's turning his powers against him. And he's like, oh man, I hate to do this right away, but I think I might have to call the rest of the Justice League. This ain't working out. But, and Tomorrow's like, oh boy, all for Silas, he can't wait. He's like, this is the greatest thing. He's going to do it right now. Except I don't know what that would do. Like, if the rest of the Justice League's not there at the time and he does this, how is that going to take them out?
Again, I know Professor Tio Maro is a very smart fellow. And he's a super villain and everything. But if you have this button that the minute it gets pushed, it kills the Justice League, just push the button, you know? Like, you don't need Red Tornado to do it.
Maybe have your hired goons just like touch the button.
You can just do it right now, the minute you invent the button. Yeah. You don't have to wait for Red Tornado to do it, is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, if it can do it from anywhere, yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah, Green Lantern shows up. He didn't even get to press the button, but Green Lantern just happened to be watching him, and he's like, "Hey, it's me. I'm Green Lantern. I'm gonna save you."
He actually makes a green hand that grabs his wrist to prevent him from pushing the button. He's like, "Yeah, don't worry about pushing that button there, Red Tornado. We got you." So,
yep.
Green Lantern.
He's gonna use his Green Lantern ring there on that guy with the funnel, but turns out that funnel isn't good for just reflecting tornadoes. It can also reflect his green energy. So then Green Lantern has to make like a little green mirror, and he's reflecting it right back at the funnel, and they're just kind of stuck in a big loop until eventually the loop like builds up so much that it explodes the funnel. So,
man, this little funnel truck is deadly.
I know. It almost took out two of the League members.
But then here comes Flash and Batman, and they jump in the fray. And Red Tornado is another thing that doesn't make any sense. He's all upset that they're there.
Yeah.
Even though he was about to call them there. But he's like, well, don't you trust me?
Yeah, he's mad that they were like watching him to like, I guess, keep an eye on him. So maybe they think they don't trust him. Like, see what I'm doing.
You were going to call them anyway. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Just accept that.
So then Flash, they got to take care of this big tank. So he's zipping around it in one direction, and he tells Red Tornado to zip around it in the other direction. And it seems like a lot of work just to beat that tank. But the tank, somehow the reverse vibrations or whatever causes the tank to shrink back a little. We find out later. And then Batman conks some guys' heads together. Green Lantern punches a dude with a green fist.
Yeah. And gonna get Batman in the back, but Batman's like, "Oh, I left him for you."
And then Red Tornado holds up the little toy tank. So the guys who are driving the tank, they're all wee tiny now too.
It should just be like blood leaking out of that. They all got crushed as it turned back.
Mateo Mara is watching all this somehow on his little computer screen, and he's like, drats, what is going on?
So close.
So now we cut back to the headquarters again up in space there, and Red Tornado is given to the Justice League. He's like, Green Lantern, I resent your intrusion in my battle. I demand to be treated as an equal member of the Justice League. And Green Lantern's like, come on, Tornado. You were just about to call us when we showed. And they're all yelling. And then Batman says, all right, enough of the bickering. We got to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, he's like, I have matters to discuss that are not for Red Tornado's ears. That was first tip off, and maybe they know what's going on.
And then Green Lantern says, hey, because they say Tio Morrow's involved. And he says, the Red Tornado, interesting that both he and Morrow should have reappeared at the same time. Sort of makes one wonder. Because you remember, this Tio Morrow guy, he created the Red Tornado to infiltrate the Justice Society. And now, he's doing it again.
This is a rerun.
So Red Tornado storms off or whatever. And I don't know. So now we cut back to Red Tornado's daily life as human John Smith.
Things are about to pick up for him.
Yeah, explain what happens here, Jake.
So he is in an employment office, and there's a smoking hot blonde who is interviewing him about, his trying to get him a job. And I should just name Smith, John Smith. She says address, general delivery. I don't even know what
the lady. Oh, in the old days, you could just have your mail put to the post office.
Age. At the moment, I feel like the oldest man alive. Again, this is a bald man who is wearing a giant trench coat and is covered from head to toe, including gloves and
purple ascot.
Pants. Yeah, purple ascot. Please just answer the questions. Previous employment. Freelance law officer. It's like, freelance? Reason for application? Survival. Hey, are you putting me on, Mr. Smith? So, alright, things aren't going great, but all of a sudden it's going to turn around here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're not, are you? I can see it in your eyes. Tell me, sir, when was the last time you had a decent meal? Why, never mind, I can imagine. Come on, I'll treat you to lunch. No buts, the name's Kathy Sutton, girl Samaritan, and I haven't lost a client yet.
Yeah, she just takes him out to lunch.
So yeah, even though he's sketchy and clearly lying about everything, he's like, oh, this creepy bald guy, he's the one for me.
If this lunch goes right, maybe he'll take her back to general delivery. They can make out. We see him at lunch, and she's still smitten with him, even though he's a robot. He's not even charming or witty or anything.
They make it look so easy. All you have to do is show up, and women will fall all over you.
Start wearing an ascot and a big trench coat.
Yeah.
So and she says, oh, hey, I think I got a place where you can stay. And she knows somebody who rents them a room. She even pays the first week rent on their room.
Holy hell.
And the lady, the landlord, she says, oh, she's a darling girl, Kathy is. And we see John Smith looking into the window there, and he just sees an image of Kathy Sutton, I think it is his name, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, she's a darling girl indeed.
Uh-oh.
Do you think John Smith is ever confused for Lex Luthor? Because he looks exactly like him.
Yeah. They both like purple a lot. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Now we get a montage of them being romantic. And keep in mind, they're like in the park feeding pigeons, looking over the bridges, going for a stroll arm in arm. And she's wearing 3 different outfits.
Yeah.
So this is like at least 3 dates. And in each one, he's wearing the same big trench coat, purple ascot.
Yep. His job hasn't started yet. He can't afford new clothes, but she is unbothered.
And at no point
laundry every night.
And again, there is a picture of her like hooked around his arm and leaning into him and stuff. Can't tell he's a robot, apparently.
The fact that he constantly stands like a robot, like perfectly standing up straight and just, yep.
At dinner, he has nothing but Valvoline. Come on, it's a robot. And I think Tio Maro is still monitoring all this, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a girlfriend now. That'll make this more interesting.
I didn't think he had it in him, is what he says. Good Lord. So they're out on the street, and she's like, John, I've got something for you. I found you a job. And he's like, that's splendid, Kathy. Well, it's not much of a job, really. Just a lab assistant to a Dr. Gordon. Should I know that? Is that a name we should know, Dr. Gordon? Or
it doesn't sound familiar, but
I guess it's. I bet you it's at that Star Labs.
Oh, sure. Everything. Star
Labs.
Yeah. I'll come back to that.
And then John Smith says, Kathy, do you hear an odd sound? And they look up, and there are like 3 flying ships shooting laser beams down at everybody. And then when he turns around, Kathy and everyone else on the street is turned into stone. And it looks like maybe Willie Nelson's there on the left, and who else? Jimi Hendrix on the right.
Yeah.
And there's another guy in a big trench coat and a hat, just like John Smith.
John Smith doesn't even have a hat. He hasn't worked his way up to a hat yet.
So he turns into Red Tornado, and like he's in this John Smith outfit, and then the next panel, his legs are spinning like tornadoes from the knees down, and he's ripping off the coat, and he's already in his red robot form.
Very unclear how this all works.
Yes. Where did the fleshy face go? I don't know.
Just spun it off and then spins it back on, I guess.
So Red Tornado is trying to fight the ships, and the ships are apparently also trying to just steal an entire bank.
That's right.
They're just lifting the bank right out of the ground.
Rays, apparently.
And they zap the Red Tornado, and it's like his energy bolts disrupting my circuits can't move, so he falls to the earth there. And then here comes Superman, because of course it has to be Superman saving the day. And,
that's right.
But well, of course Superman, being the jerk that he is, saves the bank instead of the people. So he's a 1%er, just like Batman.
He was already saving the bank. And then they picked up the person. Then the guys in the ships pick up, Kathy Sutton there, her statue form, and they're gonna drop her. And Red Tornado's like, no, Kathy, no. And but Elongated Man is there to save the day.
Yeah,
he stretches and grabs her.
This Elongated Man must be pretty strong, because that's a solid stone statue falling from a great height, and he just stretches out with his spindly little rubber arms and catches her. So
maybe he can shift his strength, all the parts of his body, into wherever he wants to.
Hey, do you think he could shift some of that power to make him interesting? Because I don't think he can.
Nope.
Yeah. That's probably not the thing. And then Hawkman, he shows up, and I guess these ships, they're trying to hit the ships, but apparently these ships have some sort of a weird imaging cloaking system, so they appear to be where they're not.
Yeah. they like holographically project themselves in a different spot.
Yet they're
But the ones
invisible and they're
cloaked.
Yeah. So Hawkman says, all right, you know what I'm going to do is just like my buddy Aquaman, where we keep animals as slaves. I'm going to bring all my hawk friends in here, and I'm just going to throw thousands of hawks into this area.
Yep.
And they'll run right into the ships or something, and then we'll know where the ships are by where the pattern of dead falling hawks are.
Well, only the Justice League could have somebody who does the same for land animals. It's the one area they're missing.
See, I was going to say Squirrel Man, but they got Squirrel Girl already in Marvel.
They could just bring her over.
Yeah. So then Superman catches the ships when they find their true locations, and he starts smacking them around, and Hawkman smacks around one. And so they captured all the guys there, but then when the fellas get on the ground, they they got gas in their uniforms. They're all eating a bunch of chili, and it knocks out all the heroes, including the Red Tornado. He's a robot.
So ridiculous.
How is gas going to knock out a robot?
A robot who can, spin and make the gas go away, I'm sure, in a second. Blow it all away.
So, but just as that's happening, isn't there something where I think Tornado says, I don't know, anyway, but he says that the elongated man, as he's passing out, he stretches over and he touches the Tornado's belt button, to signal more Justice League people.
Yeah.
So, which is what Tio Mara wanted to happen all along anyway, So he's all excited, and when he pushes the button, all the Justice League members just start like they're getting electrocuted. They start flipping out. So.
Yeah. At least the three that are there, they really haven't taken out the whole Justice League. If this works, you've taken out three of them.
So Tio Mara, he's in his little secret headquarters, and there's a big clock on the wall that says 1,000 or something. And he says, I didn't imagine my gas would affect the Red Tornado when him conscious. He's a robot.
That would be stupid.
It can't be conscious, a robot. But that doesn't matter now. Exactly 2 hours before the deadline time, and the GLA has ceased to exist. I'm safe. But then he goes over and opens up the door just to get some fresh air, and celebrate. Because Tio Mara, that seems like the kind of guy he is. He goes out and gets some fresh air to celebrate. And,
he's going to go smoke dart, probably.
And when he opens the door, the Justice League are just standing there. And so what if, would they have ever rung the bell? Or are they just going to stand there? Until he came outside.
For some air. Yeah.
But he says, Superman says, going somewhere, Tio Mara? And he's like, no, it can't be. You're dead. You're all dead. And Batman's like, a gross exaggeration, Morrow. None of us is dead. We just wanted you to think so. And because Superman had discovered that extra circuit inside Red Tornado, and he burned it out with his supervision. This is the worst. And he says, but what I saw on my screen, and then Green Lantern says, just a little show put on for your benefit with the help of my power ring. What does that even mean?
I don't know. I didn't see green electricity.
Yes. Everything he does is green.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. And then they're like, oh yeah, we just wanted to make sure you had no other hold on the tornado we didn't know about. That's why you kept this whole thing going for this long?
So then I can finally respect Tio Mara because he grabs a gun. He's going to just try and shoot him.
It's like, all right, my other plan keeps backfiring every time I try it. So, just going to
all these miniature tanks that grow into big tanks, these flying spaceships with lasers and cloaking devices. I'm just going to grab a gun. Let's just grab a gun.
Superhero teams doesn't work.
But Elongated Man stretches and grabs the gun, and Red Tornado shoots out a spindly little tornado out of his hand and punches him in the face.
A noggin.
So, there you go. They captured him, and they bring him to the police.
Yeah.
Later, at the nearest police station, and Batman and Hawkman are holding him by one arm each. And Batman says, "I don't believe it. You tried to kill us because of a computer prediction? That's pretty far-fetched." And he's like, "You don't know my computer. It's never wrong." And then the clock strikes midnight there. He's like, "Oh no, it's too late. My 21 days are up. It's over. I've lost everything. Lost everything. Lost. And he just vanishes.
Yep. That's such a terrible ending. Like, again, why didn't it have something to do with, his own plan backfired or something, and that's why he ends up dying? But nope, just he randomly disappears. Like, it doesn't make sense. Where did this prediction come from? Why is any of this happening? What happened?
I don't know. So anyway, we're back at the satellite, the JLA headquarters, and they're apologizing to Red Tornado and all that stuff, saying, hey, sorry there, buddy, but Green Lantern, he says, but you're not a machine, Tornado, just a bit more vulnerable to certain things than most people are. He's a robot. He's less vulnerable.
Yep. Especially the gas, but apparently he doesn't know that.
And then Red Tornado says, my own thoughts exactly, Green Lantern. Now if you fellows will excuse me. And they're like, Red Tornado, where are you going? Is it something we said? In a way, Ralph Dibny. In a way. That's elongated, man. I'm going to discover if an android is vulnerable to love. And that's the end. And this is a first for me, Jank. I've been doing this show for 5 years, reading comic books my whole life, but never have I ever gotten to the last page of a comic book story. And only half the page has panels, and then the bottom half is just a big logo, Justice League of America.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly from like a trade of some kind, because there was no ad.
Okay.
So maybe there was some kind of an ad there or something, and for the trade they had to do that, but yeah, that's goofy.
It is strange. Yeah, maybe that'll explain it then. But, all right, so I just thought Dick Dillin said I'd drawn enough of this bullshit. I'm not doing another half page. Yeah. So there it is, Justice League 106, the first official appearance of Red Tornado as a Justice League member. He joined the team in this year issue.
He may be done by the end of it. He's going to go find love.
He's going to go see about a girl, like Good Will Hunting. All right, so what do you think, Jank?
Ooh, the story was pretty bad and kind of gets worse the more you think about it, because boy, were there plot holes everywhere in this thing. This thing was leaking like worse than the Titanic, I think. Yikes. There's so many problems. The whole plot never made sense. And again, why couldn't he just be like, he pulled out a gun. He could have like accidentally shot himself or something when trying to kill the Justice League. Something where it was like, oh, it's either him or them. And he really, lets that fear make him act irrationally. And that's what leads to his death, instead of just he randomly like teleports away to God knows where.
Yeah, unless you explain why this happened, or like, I don't know, we need something.
Some demons or something that, like, if you don't kill them by this time, we're going to take your soul. Like, have some kind of reason instead of just, we'll figure it out later, maybe.
I was just going to say, I also need a better explanation, like we were saying, for the button pushing and how that will kill the Justice League. Doesn't make any sense. One
circuit apparently makes all the difference. Like, it just was going to electrocute them. Like, I don't see how that's going to even kill Superman, let alone the whole team.
Yeah. And again, how would that work if he's supposed to push it when they're not there? And like, how far? Like, he could be miles, like states away. I don't know. Who knows what's going on? But anyway, all right. So what else do you think?
Trying to think if there's anything I did like. I like the whole relationship with him and Kathy Morrow just seemed weird. And
Kathy Sutton.
Kathy.
Yeah, I was almost making the same mistake in my head as well. But
yeah. I mean, it just seemed like it came out of nowhere, and they didn't really do a great job of developing it. It was just kind of like, none of this seems realistic. Why she would be into this guy? Who's clearly just lying about everything and not very charismatic. So I don't know.
What if what if Kathy Sutton is actually kind of a freak and she knows he's a robot and she's way into it? Huh?
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the DC universe. You got to expect that like 1 out of 5 people is a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing about the story really works or makes sense.
No. I'll say this. I guess it wasn't like it's far from the worst thing we've read. I wasn't like, having a terrible time while reading it, but it was also very stupid. So yeah. I can't say that I had a great time.
I liked, I thought the art here was fine. Dick Dillin, I thought he did some good stuff. Like classic comic book art.
Sure.
I like the art.
It's like a robot.
Yeah, a couple of shots of Black Canary. She looked good. So
yeah,
didn't mind the art at all. Good.
Sure. Yeah, it's fine for 70s art. It works.
Yeah, 1973. So yeah, it's early days here. This the Bronze Era. So yeah, I don't know. 1 out of 10, maybe a 3.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking as well. And again, I'm so confused about the whole, like, I guess they wanted to build the suspense, but I feel like the cover already did the thing of, Red Tornado joined the team, that's going to kill them. So why did they have to do the thing where he's having a thought balloon where he's like, and except now I can destroy them all, when he's not trying to kill them. He doesn't know that it has this extra circuit that's going to kill them.
That is
so
correct.
Why are you putting this in there?
And I still don't understand this whole face situation. Where's the fleshy part? Because clearly there's some times where they draw them up close where it looks like the Iron Man situation where there are holes for the eyes and you can see like a thickness to the metal.
And you can see the little skin underneath it.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. But that's the Red Tornado. Wow, am I glad we learned about him.
Yeah.
I bet this issue would have been better with Ma Hunkel.
She would have closed the deal with Kathy Sutton right away. Had another child on the way. Even though I don't think that's how that works.
All right. So 3's all around for Justice League. All right, Jake, try and do something better next week. All right. Let's try and.
Okay. I'll do my best. It'll definitely be different. I can promise that much.
Oh, no.
I don't know if it'll be better, but in the words of Julie Chen, sometimes you got to expect the unexpected. And
speaking of robots, Julie Chen.
Exactly, the old Chen bot. So I'm going to go with a little book called Rick Veitch's The One.
All right, none of those words made any sense. It's all pops and buzzes. I didn't understand a goddamn thing you said. What?
Yeah, it's called The One. I guess Rick Veitch is the artist and writer, I believe. I think he does both. I believe this is 1985 originally. I think it was an Epic comic from the Epic Marvel line. But I guess it was reprinted by IDW at some point, which I think is the actual scans that are on the website that we look up.
Rick Veitch is The One. Never heard of this in my life. Oh, what issue are we doing?
Is it number 1?
Oh, The One, number 1.
Yep.
What is this? I have no concept of this.
It seems very like Cold War centric. Like it has a lot to do with atom bombs and stuff like that, and the effects on people. So it seems very Cold War heavy.
How did you hear about this?
This one, I think, honestly, I was just kind of looking up years. Sometimes we'll do that on the site. Type in a year and see, what comics started that year. And this happened to be one of those. So I was like, huh, this cover looks interesting. I kind of want to see what this is.
Yeah, well, this will be something.
I really don't know much about it, so we'll find out what this is.
Can't be worse than Ragman.
That's right. And this will test our theory of, somebody out there must be looking for content about the and they'll find this video.
Because they're trying to figure out what exactly affects like how many views these videos get, and it seems like the more popular characters we do, the less views there are. And then when we do obscure things like Ragman or I don't know, other nonsense, sometimes they really get more views. So
yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone is searching for Rick Veitch's The One, but we'll figure this out.
I mean, apparently somebody decided to reprint this thing, so I don't know. Maybe somebody cares.
Okay. Maybe it'll be very good. All right, so that's next week here on the show. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until then, don't get any jank on you.